Have you ever wondered about your mission in life? Pastor Terry Rush was no spring chicken when he got his assignment. God sent him to play ball.
I'm ready.
Oklahoma traveler Scott Thompson heads to Arizona, where men like Terry are living out their fantasy to play in the big league.
I belong on the baseball field.
See how a man of the cloth makes baseball a mission in life. Wednesday at 10 on KOTV, the news on 6, the spirit of Oklahoma.
Have you fulfilled that mission?
It's one of the sweetest sentences of springtime. Pitchers and catchers report next week.
And so baseball is back again. At spring training, it's not just young players looking to make the grade. Beginning tonight, Oklahoma traveler Scott Thompson is back from the Cactus League, and his scouting report is of a Tulsa man's mission in life.
On that walk of life that each of us takes to someplace else, I suppose Terry Rush could have ended up in a big league ballpark. Squint, and this could be the path from clubhouse to field. If young Terry Rush had had his way, it would have been.
Bob Gibson says the only way that you can get ready to play baseball is to play baseball. I told my high school counselor, who was this older lady who knew nothing about sports, when I was in high school, I said, now what I want to be when I grow up is a St. Louis Cardinal ball player. She said, well, I don't know where I'd write off to get information for you to be a ball player for the Cardinals. And I said, well, that's what I want to be. And I didn't want to have anything to do with churches or preachers. I just wanted to play ball for the Cardinals.
But dreams so often get put on the shelf, boxed up next to what might have beens and should haves. And Terry Rush became one of those he wanted nothing to do with, pastor of Tulsa's Memorial Drive Church of Christ, surrounded by that which gives him strength still, his faith and his Cardinals.
The fun thing about all the baseball world is you think about, even on a winning team, it is of such heart. Now there's a good idea, and I need to write that down now. It's such heart. And that's what, I mean, teams with heart are winners. And churches with heart are winners. Isn't that good? Philippians chapter 4, here's what I'd like you to see.
And Terry isn't above dragging some of his baseball mementos out of his office and onto his pulpit every now and then. This congregation is well versed in the parallels their pastor sees between baseball and the Bible.
And I want to encourage you that we need to learn from the game that we are to be a people that decide we're going for it because we're going to play the game. We are in the church to be a part of the kingdom and to be active and to be used, and that he is needing us. So
as has become his custom at this time of year, Terry is, one last time, trying to get a mind that still dreams of baseball in sync with a body that doesn't.
it used to be a question of, can I throw that far? Now it's a question of not only can I throw that far, but can I see that far?
Bound for one last flirt with the big leagues, one last chance to carry his faith to a place few would imagine it's needed or wanted.
How you doing? Good. Hey, Terry.
My goal is don't get hurt.
It's a scene that speaks of renewal and hope and springtime. It comes to pass every year at this time on emerald fields in Florida and here in Arizona, but linger longer than an instant, and it's clear these are not pros at spring training. Too many bellies, too many limp legs and aimless arms for that. This is a fantasy camp, a place where big league dreamers can go, if only for a week, and imagine, and play against their boyhood heroes. Randy Hundley, who caught for the Chicago Cubs in the 1960s, owns this camp and is credited with a concept that has spread to most every major league team.
People absolutely love it. The first camp I ever did, as you pointed out, I found out that we had something. It was almost like a religious experience.
Fitting then that Terry is here for his 14th and final year. Outfitted in his beloved Cardinals red, he's joined by a St. Louis softball team. And together, they'll take on a sea of blue Cub wannabes. All week long, they'll immerse themselves in baseball, and Terry will play just as hard as all the others. But he has created for himself a second calling here, quietly and quite unexpectedly. Over the years, he says he's seen a need and tried to fill it.
But the thing that I look for are the athletes that want that faith, that would like to know about God, but they don't know how to ask.
In a macho clubhouse atmosphere, Terry says it's hard for big-time athletes to admit to a problem, to human weakness, to failure. And publicly, at least, a pastor is a pariah.
I watch for those guys because they don't know how to say it, they don't know how to show it, and the neat thing is they're no different than our next-door neighbors.
Terry grew so spiritually close to Cardinal great Curt Flood that he officiated at both the funerals of Flood's mother and Flood himself.
Terry, we've been friends since I've been a kid, and beautiful man and very sincere soul.
It's an atmosphere where former players are either completely forgotten or smothered by autograph and picture hounds and pressed endlessly for just one more story, just one more pitching tip, one more batting tip.
I think they hear, I'd like something from you. I'd like your autograph. I'd like for you to sit at my table, whatever.
Mudcat Grant has 3 World Series rings to show for his career. Now he works to find former players who have fallen by the wayside. It would seem Terry has a new soulmate.
Listen, anytime anybody sit down and talk with you as a human being, and then you can tell them stories about the game itself, and you can act with one another together, it's a blessing. It's wonderful. Now, if they really admire you because you played the game, that's another blessing. If you are a good human being and they like you because you're a good human being, it's a double blessing.
And that's how Terry will measure his baseball dreams that never played out. He was able to touch the edges of the majors and the hearts of a few of its heroes.
Not everybody in the world needs to talk to me, but somebody in this group, I bet, needs some encouragement, and I just hope I pick up on it.
In Mesa, Arizona, Scott Thompson, the Oklahoma Traveler.
Last night, Oklahoma Traveler Scott Thompson introduced us to Terry Rush, Tulsa pastor and closet St. Louis Cardinal.
We followed Terry to baseball fantasy camp in Arizona, where he not only plays his heart out, he offers it in spiritual consultation with a great many former big leaguers. And it turns out Terry's not the only one who can't seem to quench a thirst for baseball in fantasy camp.
Players come from all walks of life, all corners of the country, to play against each other and former major leaguers. Tonight, Scott shows us baseball is a mission in a great many lives.
I work at Scott Air Force Base, Southern Illinois. Transportation analyst.
I'm a insurance broker. I am a teacher, middle school teacher.
I work for Grand City Steel Corporation.
I'm a retired high school teacher.
But they all wanted to be Major League Baseball players.
Absolutely, it's all I ever wanted to do. It's all I ever wanted to do, but a little slow, a little weak in the arm, but it's what I wanted to do.
The same goes for Terry Rush of Tulsa, pastor of Memorial Drive Church of Christ and closet St. Louis Cardinal.
This just shows that my earlier thoughts is true, that I was destined for the Hall of Fame, but somewhere some scouts overlooked me. We can't go through life bitter.
But they can go through this week awfully sore. Now, none of them expect to come to baseball fantasy camp and get hurt. Maybe that's their first fantasy. By the second day of camp, the trainer's room is standing room only.
This was a real big guy barreling down on a not so big guy, and I kind of took the worst of it.
It looks a lot worse than it is. These are little aches and pains. These aren't anything serious.
I think I'm the typical 58-year-old whose hamstring isn't as loose as it once was.
Fantasy camp was a birthday present from Ken's wife. His hamstring popped on his first at bat.
You know, they think that they've been doing a few sprints in the backyard or, you know, running a little bit of distance and that kind of thing, but you get out on the fields and nature takes over.
What brings them here then? Why do they pay $3,000, risk muscle pulls and black eyes and blistered feet?
Well, there's a little kid in all of us, and that's the truth. Ruth.
Got 4 runs that inning. It worked out good.
These little kids always dreamed of playing with Cubs Hall of Famer Ferguson Jenkins.
How's your legs? Yeah, so.
I know I have legs now.
Yeah, yes, for sure. All right, here we go. Come on, Tony, good hitter.
They want to play baseball. They think that they can still play it, and it's a vacation, and it's their fantasy. Their fantasy is to go out there and hit against a big league pitcher.
Keep it on the ground first, then come up. Don't try to do this and go down. Go here, get it close to the ground, then come up.
And these little kids always dreamed of taking infield practice with Cubs Hall of Famer Billy Williams.
That was a little bit too far. I was heading to Ron Sandberg at that time. I had a flashback. Too bad you didn't.
Unbelievable. That's worth millions of dollars for a guy like me. Followed baseball all my life. It's unbelievable.
We are all in awe, actually. I mean, it's just a wonderful feeling to be with the presence of these. I mean, they're not just major leaguers. A lot of them are Hall of Famers, which is just incredible. And we're still pinching ourselves every day when we wake up.
And that's not for a muscle pull, I guess.
No, and well, some of it might be. Some of it might be.
And this is not just a place for little boys' dreams to resurface again. There are 4 women playing this week, too. Gail Connelly has returned to camp for 5 years in a row.
Oh, it's still intimidating right now. Yes, I put a lot of pressure on myself. I'm very nervous because I don't want to be a hindrance to my team.
You know, and we all realize that they're business people and they're not professional athletes, but they're still having a great time playing the great game of baseball.
Former Cubs catcher Randy Hundley invented the fantasy camp concept.
We understand if we were to go into their line of business, we would struggle with what they're doing. So we understand what's going on with them.
Good. We got a couple trainers.
What do you want? What do you want? Stop by me. I'm concentrating.
Though one of the pros' favorite things to pass along to their underlings are insults.
Okay. Ken was last out. Boy, do we have a winning lineup here. Nothing but studs. Fierce, macho, over 50 studs.
John?
Unfortunately, our supply of Viagra hasn't come in yet. But when it does, these guys will really turn into animals.
Every morning, there's a team meeting, just like in the big leagues. And just like in the big leagues, it's filled with good-natured insults and pornographic put-downs that keep us from letting you hear most any of it. Joe Pepitone's the master of it all.
I was born and raised that way, playing baseball, kidding each other, getting on each other's case, laughing at yourself. And that's the way it is. I think it's good for them. And they see the other side of the baseball players that they usually know. They see that what they went through in the clubhouse and the way we treat each other.
And that's why they're here, after all, to feel a part of it, to take home a picture they and their children and their grandchildren can cherish, to remember what it was all those years ago that grabbed their hearts, horsehide and broken-in leather and 32 ounces of an ash tree, the smell of it, the challenge of it, the joy of it.
Baseball is my life. Guys just want to get back on the field. I know I do. Other people quilt, other people bake cookies, but we do this.
Baseball taught us how to live together, how to play together, how to treat one another.
Baseball is fun.
You might get a baby. Got a boy. Got a boy.
And who could ask more from child's play? In Mesa, Arizona, Scott Thompson, the Oklahoma Traveler.
It's an opportunity most baseball fans only dream about, playing in the major leagues.
For the past 2 nights, Oklahoma Traveler Scott Thompson has taken us to a unique camp where dreamers are living their fantasies. Tonight, those dreamers, including Oklahoman Terry Rush, play ball.
He's not a kid anymore. Well, maybe a kid at heart. And for one last time, Terry, the pastor of Tulsa's Memorial Drive Church of Christ, is looking to find that part of him that always dreamed of playing big league baseball for the St. Louis Cardinals. Oklahoma Traveler Scott Thompson is along in Mesa, Arizona tonight as Terry takes his final cuts at his mission in life.
Terry Rush is making a comeback.
Hey, Terry. Tulsa. Hey, I thought you retired from baseball.
I did. I came back.
Oh, I heard that before.
He can't get baseball out of his blood. Cardinal red blood. He's got a uniform top to attest to that. But Terry needs pants on this first day of camp, so he forms up behind Cub Hall of Fame pitcher Ferguson Jenkins.
Terry Rush. What's up? Hey, Terry. Here, try these. This got a state on it. Okay.
This is the Chicago Cubs spring training complex, and it's filled with season-opening jitters. Not from guys hoping to earn a slot at Wrigley Field. No, these guys may have dreamt of that half a century ago. Now they're called fantasy campers, and this week their fantasy's supposed to come true, to play with the big leaguers.
I appreciate Monday mornings because I always appreciate Monday mornings because I can both see my shoes and touch them. See, and that's a real blessing. And tomorrow morning I will notice that they are farther away.
Terry Rush is a clubhouse veteran. He's come to fantasy camp for 14 years, always decked out in the uniform of the team he wanted to play for, always giving a blush of red to a sea of dreaded Cub blue. And this year, his last year, he's got company. 9 guys from St. Louis have come to play too. Back home, they're a softball team. This week, they're Terry's new teammates. And that gives Terry a chance to set bigger goals for this goodbye tour. Maybe now he won't have to spend all his time putting up with Cub put-downs.
My goal is to not only be able to run to first base today, but my goal is to be able to see first base before I run to it.
Don't try to go too far. Just start out with some twists here on the upper body.
They are doctors and lawyers and school teachers and computer programmers, and try as they might, they are mostly out of shape. The goal this week is to keep their hamstrings strong and tendons taut.
We're going to take it easy today. Bend at the waist at about 45 degrees, kind of a golf swing motion.
Their coaches are former major league players.
Come on, huff and puff. This is the hardest work you guys done in the last 2 months, probably. Let's go, let's go.
Terry's Cardinals are managed by former Redbirds Mudcat Grant.
If you miss a ball, take your time to recover. Because if you miss one, if you can't catch it, so take your time to recover the ball.
And Rick Honeycutt.
We all have the same interest, and that's baseball. So there's a great love for the game.
Oh, man.
Terry still has it, but at 52, he has to work harder to find it.
If you can't catch it, we're in for a rough time.
All week long, the teams will play each other in a tournament, taking on a pitching machine because no one's arm can take that kind of heat. And Terry, grizzled veteran, gets one last chance to see if he's still got what it takes.
Outstanding slide. I felt like I was safe. Did you guys?
I did too.
I'll tell you, he played this game. Atta baby.
I would have to give him a B+. He can really stick the ball.
Well, he's our spark plug. Terry's our spark plug.
That I caught that ball and tossed it over there just the way Julian Javier did years ago.
What happened?
Well, Terry.
The ball was coming
you had
at
it
me.
right till it got to your glove.
Ball was coming at me, and I just was indecisive. And I
Rick,
missed
and
it.
then there's one other thing on Preach. That old glove you found, that's real stiff. Let me see that glove. We're going to take this real stiff glove. We want you to go back to your real soft glove.
Really?
And I believe once that ball get in that other soft glove, it'll stay in there. This is a beautiful glove, all right.
It really is.
Oh, nice black color and all of that.
Yeah.
Once you go back to the brown one.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
I don't have a brown one.
Well, what you have?
That's the only one I got.
You mean this is the only glove you have?
Yeah.
I got an
brand new.
outfielder's glove. I'm gonna give you that one instead.
Are you?
Yeah. You can use
Okay,
that
but
one.
I sure like this one. It's an awful nice glove. And my goal is to look nice in my uniform, see? And so.
Well, we're gonna put a lot of oil on this to soften that sucker up.
Well, here's the funny thing. It's the Cardinals who've softened up all these Cubs, unbeaten through 7 games.
Yeah, 7-0. We've had some pretty good ball games, some close ball games.
We are in Cubs zone in spring training. We got 7 Cubs team, 1 Cardinal team, and they want us.
But I know they want to get even with us this game, though. Evidently, Pepitone's team is usually team that wins this.
That would be Joe Pepitone.
Get out there!
The former Yankee and Cub slugger has perfected the role of bragging big mouth.
What do you want? What do you want? Stop bothering me. I'm concentrating.
And his team is just one game behind the Cardinals, with today's doubleheader left to decide the champs. For the first time this week, the Cardinals' gloves and bats abandon them. The Cubs win, and there's a tie with one game to go.
Let's try to adjust the second game. We're going to come back and play these guys again, so it's for the championship. So we got something on the line here.
We're going to beat the Cardinals. Honeycutt's a nice guy. The whole team is nice. What's good about their team, and they're going to need it. They got 4 priests on it. And they're praying that they're going to win.
Ready?
Yeah. Heads.
What is it?
Heads it is.
It is head?
Yeah, we'll be home.
Okay, guys, we're hitting.
As it turns out, though, they're not. With Terry running a mean pitching machine, it's a shutout win for the Redbirds and a fantasy championship.
A championship is a championship. I don't care where it is.
I heard that.
And you guys are the champs, and don't you ever forget it. And say champs on 3. 1, 2, 3. Champs!
What a neat day. Wow, this has been so fun.
Winning the championship means the Cardinals get to play the first inning the following day against the major leaguers at the Cubs' spring training stadium. Each camper gets to nod their cap for the camera and high-five down the third base line. And after former Cub Carmen Fanzone plays the national anthem on his flugelhorn, it's time to take on the pros. Terry's got some first inning butterflies.
Rush listed as the catcher. And he's down on strikes.
But he redeems himself later with a hit.
Whoa, look at that, a little hit and run. Very, very nice.
And near game's end, Terry gets to play third alongside the big leaguers. He gets a chance at the hot corner and comes through, much to the delight of his new friends from St. Louis. And then he quietly calls it a game and a fantasy career. He was able to wear the colors of his favorite team and rub shoulders with baseball heroes and even become a spiritual confidant to a handful of them. How do you top that? Well, how about giving your first ever autograph on your last ever Field of Dreams?
I'd be glad to sign this baseball for you.
Thank you. It's for my grandson.
Oh, yes. There you go.
Thank you.
Hey, there we go.
Thank you.
Finally got an autograph for the guy that really meant more than anybody else on the field.
Oh! Praise the Lord!
There you go.
In Mesa, Arizona, Scott Thompson, the Oklahoma Traveler.